Yo. Sorry I haven't made that many videos the last month. Suddenly I got a surge of new clients and I've been busy with that. I've also just had some kind of personal projects, but feels good making this video and getting back into momentum. For those new to GoldJacketLuke, every year and a half or so I make a list of talking about some great books I've read over this past year. For me, I read a decent amount because I go to bed around 12:30, midnight, 12:15, but after 10:45, and it probably should be earlier, but after 10:45, I tell myself I'm not allowed to be on technology after 10:45 p.m. So, phone away, laptop away. So at the end of my day, I have like an hour where I always read. The first book recommendation is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It was actually written a little bit after the Great Depression, and kind of the energy behind it was to inspire and uplift people after such a hard time to be more positive and have more of a prosperity mindset, more success mindset, because after the Great Depression, everyone was kind of in this low frequency. And I feel like it's kind of now a good time, now that we're on the tail end of COVID, it's kind of a similar energy where the frequency is not quite as strong. And so I feel like this is a good book to kind of jumpstart your personal development and, positivity, ambition, and just more higher frequency thinking. One of the best things about this book is that there's a chapter on sexual transmutation in it. And that chapter alone, especially for my audience, is worth checking out the book. There's lots of other great stuff in the book. It talks about just the power of the mastermind and being around people who are on a similar frequency or better frequency than you, and it has some law of attraction type stuff. There were a couple parts where I skimmed. It was written a long time, quite a bit a while ago, so there were some parts I skimmed and some kind of weird stuff in there, but overall it's an excellent book. The second book I'd like to recommend is Many Lives, Many Masters by Brian Weiss. This is a book about a psychiatrist in Harvard or Yale, really bright guy, and he starts psychoanalyzing some of his patients, and one of his patients, that they were going back to old memories, and suddenly she starts sharing memories from a past life, and it was this really trippy experience, and this psychiatrist ends up being the specialist in kind of like past life therapy. It might sound kind of out there to lots of you, but it's written by this really bright, smart guy, competent guy. I'm a believer in reincarnation. I have a feeling it's true. Who knows? If you want to be more connected spiritually, get into that kind of spiritual place, I highly recommend this book. I found it fascinating and spiritually inspiring. And there's another book written by him that I also read called Only Love is Real, and I actually liked that book even better than Many Lives, Many Masters. Definitely start with this one. They're both amazing, and definitely start with this one. But if you read this one, I'd also highly recommend checking out Only Love is Real too. That one has another story of one of his patients, and it's just mind-blowing. My fourth book recommendation is going to be more chill, which is a couple months ago, I was kind of tired of I've been reading all these serious personal development and spirituality books so much in my life, and I actually kind of got inspired to read some, kind of tap into my inner nerd, and I read a couple Star Wars books. It was just really kind of like pleasant, fun reading to do, before bed. There's so many Star Wars books. I don't really have like a favorite or anything, but that's something I recommend, is maybe Google or Amazon search some Star Wars books. The next book I'd like to mention is Daring Greatly by Brené Brown. In the past, I had seen some of her TED Talks or videos on vulnerability. She has an excellent message. The book is not just on the power of vulnerability, courage, and being true in your authentic self. If you want to more explore vulnerability, courage, and kind of more being your authentic self, I highly recommend Daring Greatly by Brené Brown. The next book is just another general recommendation to check out Neville Goddard books. Like a year and a half ago, I recommended Neville Goddard, and he kind of sucked me in. And since I've mentioned that book recommendation, I've read some more Neville Goddard. I'm not going to share more titles, but if you're curious, I'd recommend starting with The Law and the Promise by Neville Goddard. That's a great start. It's about law of attraction, manifestation, and visualization. Quite fascinating. My next book recommendation is What Do We Do with the Bible by Richard Rohr. For those interested in, religion, Christianity, I feel like Richard Rohr really breaks down a great, very intelligent perspective about what to think about the Bible. The book is really short, and it's also quite expensive considering its size, so that's kind of a turnoff. But if you're really curious into interpretations on the Bible and kind of Bible philosophy, he gives a really good perspective. And for example, he even talks about the importance of why you shouldn't take the Bible too literally, and he even talks about how Jesus, look at Jesus's life, and Jesus didn't take the religious texts of his time too literally, and it's crazy how there's so many people who take the Bible so literally. If you're like a hardcore fundamental Christian, everything in the Bible is literal and true, this book might help you kind of think about the Bible and Christianity in kind of a more open-minded way. I really liked it, but there might be better Richard Rohr books if you're kind of into that kind of genre of exploring Christianity, because this book is really short and it's kind of like academic. I really liked it, but it might be worth checking out some other Richard Rohr book. So the next book is, I've actually mentioned this book in a previous book recommendation video, but I did it at the end, and I just felt like mentioning it again. It's The Magic by Rhonda Byrne. And I don't really like her other stuff. She's the secret lady, and it's like the McDonald's of law of attraction and spirituality. But she wrote a book called The Magic, and it's just this kind of, the book is all about gratitude, and it's kind of this like 30-day gratitude journal, and she talks about the importance of gratitude in that book. Really, I really like that book, and ever since I read that book, I've been, every single night before I go to sleep, I think of 5 things I'm grateful for, and I also often think of 5 things I'm like happy about myself with. And that book is just a book I read quite a while ago, but it's something that I've continually practiced something from that book for years. So The Magic, if you want to tap more into gratitude and understand why gratitude is so important, I recommend that book. Yeah, the author and her other stuff is kind of cheesy, but I like this book. The next book is the Hua Hu Ching by Lao Tzu. I think it's the Tao Te Ching is his book that's like really well known, and lots of people have read the Tao Te Ching, but there's a lesser known book written by Lao Tzu, which I actually like even more. It's short, but it's even like deeper than like the Tao Te Ching or his other mainstream book. So if you like kind of like Taoist, ancient Eastern philosophy, check out the Hua Hu Ching. It's really cool. And I want to say more about it, but there's really not much more to say about it except that it's a majestic read. I feel like I'm underselling it, but I don't know what else to say about it, which is kind of the beauty of that book, because it talks about kind of like those paradoxes and being in that flow divine state. So the Hua Hu Ching by Lao Tzu. The next book I want to recommend is Antifragile by Taleb. This guy is really intelligent. If you want to read a book by a really intelligent guy, it's just fascinating reading the book, not even necessarily for the message, but just seeing how his thought process works and how deep he goes in analyzing things. He's a really intelligent guy. That said, he also kind of has an ego and can be kind of grandiose, which can be a little off-putting at times. So the term fragility means something is susceptible to breaking and bad things happening to it. And anti-fragility is the opposite, how some things, when under pressure, they actually get stronger and actually improve. And I do think it's a great mindset to have, especially with coronavirus, how something bad can actually, lots of growth and good things can possibly come out of it. There's tons of bad, horrible things that have happened because of the pandemic, but there's also good things in there too. And it's just an interesting take on, and then applying that to your own life. How can you be anti-fragile? How when bad things happen to you, that it actually makes you stronger. So it's a really cool read. And maybe check out the reviews on Amazon or something. It's not for everyone, but it's an interesting read. I remember skipping around on it a lot, but I definitely got some interesting thoughts from him. The next book I want to throw out there is Deep Work by Cal Newport. In our society, we're just bombarded with so much stimulus that it's really important to get alone and work without all the stimulus and focus on this deep work if you want to just learn more about kind of focus and how really crucial it is to get away from stimulus and truly focus on a task for a period of time. The second to last book is Hidden Messages in the Water. This was like just a very short, light, fun read, and it talks about the experiments, I believe it was done in Japan, how if you give loving thoughts and feelings to water, and then you look at it under a microscope, it has these very beautiful and harmonious patterns. And if you're angry and fearful or yelling at water, and then look at it under a microscope, it's all fragmented and going all crazy and not in harmony. And it's just really interesting. It's amazing, just thinking about the science behind that, how our thoughts, words, actions change what water looks like. So imagine, you know, I think in like 100, 200 years, there's gonna be study how when you love people and, you know, it changes something in their brain that makes them more harmonious. And when we're angry, you know, there's this defragmented thing. So just learning some of the science, how if you're actually like loving towards water, it creates beautiful crystals. That's like mind-blowing, right? So it's just like a very simple thing, but just to see the beauty in something so simple in nature is actually pretty profound. And the last book on the list, another Napoleon Hill book, Outwitting the Devil. If you read Think and Grow Rich and you're like a huge fan of Napoleon Hill, I'd recommend Outwitting the Devil. I liked it, but I felt like I knew most of it before, but there was like this one short section that like really resonated with me, and I'm really glad I read it for just like those couple pages. But most of the book I actually did kind of skim. But if you're really into Napoleon Hill's vibe, I'd recommend Outwitting the Devil. Happy reading. I hope you enjoy reading as much as I do. Make sure to check out my other videos, subscribe, hit that bell notification, like. I really appreciate all of you, and we're all gonna make it. Thanks for watching.